What's going on, everybody? Usually we don't even break news like this or give. I guess the second part is kind of a spoiler, and we don't even do that. But this one was kind of too big to not talk about. First off, we got two pieces of news from TNA Impact Wrestling. I just call them TNA Impact Wrestling from now on because that just covers all of it, everything. Number one, we got a new TNA president, which is Billy Corgan, and Dixie Carter is now the chairman. And then secondly, we got a new championship coming up, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But first, on the TNA president being Billy Corgan, I'll tell you one thing: I'm not mad. I'm not upset at all. Now, obviously, I write articles about this stuff, and I'm the only one that likes to write about TNA apparently. So I reported on this, and I was sending it out everywhere to trying to get the conversation going. And I got a bunch of different responses. Some people were really excited. Some people were like, "Does he even know about wrestling?" And other people were like, "Ugh," So it was like, I got all like three different dimensions of answers. But in my opinion, I think it's great. It brings in a change that we need. And this doesn't mean that Dixie Carter's not gonna like be in control in some form or fashion. And it puts a new face, a new mind out there. Who I think he also works with creative as well, and that's always a good thing. He has a mind for the business even more so than Dixie does, and I think he has a lot of information that we don't really know about. Um, and I just feel like it's just overall a good thing. I think him being president, he's done some good things over the past year that he's been there, and I think him being president is just going to give TNA a new feel. And in order to like turn the page and get away from I guess what we call 2012, you got to do some different things to kind of make yourself feel different again. And the first thing was the TNA president changing that, at least the figurehead there. Casey, before we get into the championship, any thoughts on your new TNA president, Billy or William? I personally like William Corgan.
I mean, I personally like Billiam. You know, why don't they call him Billiam? Why is that not a thing? Uh, I mean, change is always a good thing, except for TNA because they change everything all the time, and they basically throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. It's essentially what happens. But I like this though. I like Billy's been there for a while. It feels like, and it feels like it's been good since he's been there. Feels like there's some. It's been a different in a good way. I feel like he is. Just because he's a musician and he hasn't necessarily been, working with like WWE or Ring of Honor or whatever, doesn't mean he's not a wrestling fan. It doesn't mean he doesn't have a mind for the business. I feel like, you come in and people don't know you, so you're automatically a noob and you don't know anything. We don't know what he knows. We don't know. I don't know if he grew up watching wrestling. I don't know, what his full history with wrestling is. So I'm gonna give him a chance. It also depends how they're going to, book him as the, well, not book him as the president, but like if he's going to have more of an on-screen role like Dixie used to, which could be a good or a bad thing, or if he's just going to be more behind the scenes, which also could be a good or a bad thing. It just depends on how they kind of do it, but I definitely think it's going to be a good thing. I'm excited to see, which direction he brings TNA into.
I agree. All right, Rabbit. Let's talk about the TNA president news, and then I'll kind of introduce everybody to the new championship belt that we got. Um, any thoughts on your new TNA president, Will William? I guess is what we're gonna call him now. William, Billy, Mr. Corgan, whatever you want to call him. Any thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Now, you already know he's some garbage on the mic. It was a couple of episodes before when we were saying it was something up between with those two, the way they was acting. There was something going down. It sounded like he was trying to take over the joint or something. But once you change him to president and put her over top like a chairman, where she can do overseas stuff and behind the scenes stuff and get all out the mic and out the storylines, that's a good thing for one reason. Because no matter how good her shows be, and we got to go back to Spike. That last year on Spike, I think every show was a 7 and above. Then when they went to Destination America, they kept it going. So no matter what she do as a female, she's not gonna get the love on her product. So the only way her product can break the ceiling, to use a cliche, the only way her product can do it, I'm trying to tell you, is put a man in front so everybody can say, "Oh, I love him." You know what I'm saying? So it take the pressure off them. They're not gonna switch and say, "Oh, I love TNA." Long as she there, long as she running it, it's gonna stop people. Even though they know the show better than WWE, better than all the shows, they even know that, but they're not gonna go all the way with it until it's somebody else did. You know what I'm saying? Just somebody did, so they can be like, okay, now I like them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now she gone, now I like them. Some old fake stuff like that where they already liked it. You know what I'm saying? But now they can go out and say it. Okay, I like it now because now Billy Corgan it. You know what I'm saying? He only been here, what, 12 months? You know? So he just really getting his feel in it. And he coming from Chicago where he had the little promotion he had. So he really ain't had a whole lot of wrestling in his background. But the thing is, Dixie was the one that took the leap. Now she's taking a whole nother leap by elevating him. So, but it's a good move because it frees her up to do other things. She need to get more hours. If this channel won't do it, she need to look for another channel. Just give her a chance where she can back up off the day-to-day thing with the wrestlers, promotion, and what matches next and all that. She got to get away from that and start getting. They need more hours, man. They need to find another channel. If they don't give them the hours, they will not survive just with 2 hours. I don't care how good these shows be, and all the shows be good. But if you only got 2 hours, you will not survive. You got 2 hours. WWE got 2 hours to play with. They throw away 2 hours every week. They got like 8 hours of wrestling, and you cannot compete with 2 hours. It just ain't gonna work. You need at least a side show. You need something else going on throughout the week to keep people interested in your product. Now, for me being an original, TNA original, I feel good about the atmosphere now over the last few months. I never felt the atmosphere like this before where people are giving it a second chance where they're looking at it different. You know what I'm saying? Even when they tuned into the brothers, Nero and Broken Jeffrey, they tuned into that, and they liked it. You know what I'm saying? So I like, by me liking TNA since the beginning, been watching it since the beginning, since it started, and knowing how people was hating on it and just giving it bad reviews just cause, you know, and it's kind of changing now, you know. Now that's why I feel like if TNA get more hours to compete, they don't need 7, 8, 9 hours like WWE. They don't need that. They need another show though. They need another show during the week that comes on either this channel or another channel to keep their wrestlers exposed. Because the way they have it now, they can't keep their wrestlers wrestling because there's not enough time. You got to have like Bobby Lashley and EC3 constantly because you only have 2 hours. You don't have a side show so you can wrestle more people on the screen, more people that's on your roster exposed. They don't have that, and that's their problem. But the product itself is perfect, and it's all up to Billy Corgan. We'll go from here.
Casey, you got a point?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. I think I agree that they kind of need more hours. I think, you know, even because I don't hate Dixie. I just think she's maybe more of a business mind more than a wrestling mind. So if she did work more behind the scenes where she could, you know, maybe talk to some other, you know, channels and even if she could work out like an hour on a more a channel that more people get. Like even if it was like Fox or something, one of the smaller channels, and have like an hour show, like Sunday Night Heat used to be, or Velocity or whatever. At least that would be able to have people kind of flip through the channels and stop, say, okay, let me watch this for a little bit. If it works out, maybe they add another hour, so it would be another 2-hour show. Even if that didn't happen, more fans would be able to see it, and then they would say, okay, maybe I need to call my cable provider and try to get this other channel. Because people aren't just going to call their cable provider just to get another channel unless they know that it's a good product.
Yeah.
So even if they got like an hour show on some other network, that would help them a little bit, just kind of getting other eyes on their show. Because that is a big issue that they have right now, is that they're not on a big channel that everybody gets.
Yeah, because I feel like they're drawing the ratings for that channel, but like people are always like, "Oh, the ratings are so bad. The ratings are so bad." But if you're on a channel where not a lot of people can get it, do you expect like 1 million viewers if like 500,000 can only watch it? Like, how does that work?
I mean, and they do promote it really good too, which is nice.
Yeah.
They've been promoting them a lot. Like I see them all the time, even on days that Impact isn't on. I've seen watch Thursday or whatever, which is a good thing.
Let me push back on one thing. When you say Dixie is not a wrestling mind, right? Name somebody that's a wrestling mind. Vince Russo, he a wrestling mind?
Vince Russo, to me, is a writer. He works with like creative. He's not a wrestling mind as far as what goes on in the ring, but as far as trying to make it entertaining, that's what Vince Russo is. That's what my opinion of Vince Russo.
I feel like you have to have multiple people at the top anyway, because you need to have the in-ring wrestling mind, you need to have the creative wrestling mind. I don't think there's any one person who has all of that.
Okay, I feel you. But I see it as maybe when they first started, she ain't had a wrestling mind. But you talking about somebody that run a company now for 15, 20 years. That you can't get no more wrestling involved than owning it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, she more experienced than anybody you can name. Cornette, anybody. Because they never was on this level where they responsible for everything. They never seen nothing like that. Vince Russo wish he was in Corgan's spot right now. You see what I'm saying? She, for 15 years in this business, dog, even if she wasn't a female, everybody would look at her as a wrestling mind, and not even only that, a genius. There's no way she can keep this thing going with the big joint like WWE shadowing her. But she kept it going. It's almost 20 years now. And every year, somebody
it's listed as the #2 wrestling company in the world, but never gets any credit.
That's not easy. 120 countries she in. This stuff is not easy. There's no other company even close to her besides WWE. So if she was a man, if she was Cornette and did this, what she done, he'd be praised to be the best mind in wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But by her, I mean, she gets no credit for nothing. And she even putting on some good wrestling programs, man, for a female. And then she got the knockouts, female wrestlers, that's serious business. I mean, she got a product here that's lasting over years that other products ain't making. They put what's the other wrestling company that they had on Destination America? It lasted what, 2 months?
Ring of Honor won it.
Ring of Honor. See, stuff like she doing better than those companies. All of them. They ain't in 120 countries.
And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, now I might be mistaken because I ain't never looked at the stats, but from what I've heard and what I've read, and this hasn't been a lot, I'm pretty sure they were drawing bigger ratings than Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor is the better company, the better wrestling company, from what I've heard from fans.
You see, that's exactly. They look for anything. You can start a program right now. Right now, the same thing with Jeff Jarrett. You can start anything right now. They'll take that over TNA. It just don't make any sense. Jeff Jarrett right now, you don't even know where he at. What, that ain't even happening. It's not even going off the ground. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. If just like when he just made up anything, then he made up his own little joint and it's going nowhere. Nowhere. When he could have just stayed with Dixie and probably be Corgan right now. See, he wanted to take over. Vince Smirnoff wanted to take over. Vince Russo wanted to take over. Hogan wanted to take over. Why? Because she a female. They don't go on over there with Vince talking about trying to take nothing over. See, it comes down to respect. So you stick Billy Corgan in there, a figure, a man, everybody just gonna look at it different. She gonna be out the scenes. Nobody gonna talk about her no more. It's gonna be done. She gonna be cool, and her product gonna explode because now people gonna let themselves go. Oh, this is gone. I like it now. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna be nonsense, pure nonsense. I really think she deserves more respect than she be getting in this wrestling world, man. Because if you like professional wrestling, you can't just stop and put blinders on to people just really doing what they supposed to be. Like all the wrestlers in TNA, the people in WWE don't even know them, and these people can wrestle. You get Bobby Roode, this man, this is my favorite wrestler. You get him over there, I don't even know where he at no more. He's just in the basement or a closet or something. This is a bona fide professional wrestler. EY, where he at? Bona fide professional wrestler, man. These are wrestlers coming from TNA. Going over there in the fun lane, I don't know what's going on with them no more. They ain't wrestling. That's why I've been watching TNA since the day one. Because one thing can't nobody tell me is, when you look in the ring, it's pure wrestling going on. You can't deny that. You can start saying the show ain't entertaining and all that. But what's going on in the ring, over the years, never changed. Women's, men, I don't care who it was. Stiff, professional wrestling. Period. And she gave us that in this world of wrestling. Which, if she ain't had this, WWE be running everything completely. They won't have nothing. It'd be a monopoly on this industry. And I don't understand why people that wrestle, commentate, and love professional wrestling fall into a zone of where you just don't pay attention to professional wrestling. You just watch WWE. Professional wrestling itself doesn't matter to you no more. And that's the part I don't like, because I've been watching wrestling since early 80s and 70s, man. And I love professional wrestling. And I just don't like the fact that you just watch WWE and you know it ain't entertaining. You just force yourself to like some of that stuff. That's why most of the wrestlers leave, because they're not getting a chance to do what they do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They worked all their life to be a professional wrestler. They get to WWE, they can't do nothing they train themselves to do. They can't name themselves. They can't do nothing. So that's why someone, when they come to TNA, they realize, wow, I could do me. If I fail, it's on me. That's what professional wrestlers want, man. You get on TNA, WWE, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're wrestling. You just sitting at home. You don't know what's going on. But you go to TNA, you know one thing going to happen. There's going to be some stiff wrestling in the ring, and you better be up for it. If you ain't up for that, you ain't going to make it. That's why I've been following TNA and Dixie all this time. And she need more respect in this business.
I definitely agree. I feel like, there's definitely a little bit of that where, if anyone else brings up the number 2 company in the business, people still say it to this day. Even though people want to hate on TNA and people want to say, oh, they're on a smaller network, they still call TNA the number 2 network or number 2 wrestling promotion. So I don't like. I just feel like you can't. It doesn't make any sense to me if somebody if the NFL had competition that was ranked as the number 2 competition to them in that same sport, they would get some recognition, whoever it may be, right?
Especially if they last 15, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I think, if you're talking just pure professional wrestling, not, sports entertainment, I think it would go TNA number 1, obviously, for the size, and then Ring of Honor number 2. But that's not that's not the sort of, I guess, generation we're in now. We're in the Super Cena, generation where the character and the storyline and the bullshit backstage and the stupid gimmicks are what the fans growing up now care about. It's to the point where, you know, we get super excited now when we see German suplexes because there was so much of a long period where the wrestling didn't matter, and it's still in WWE. I agree. At least on the main roster, it doesn't matter. I still think if we were talking just WWE, I think NXT is the better wrestling because it is developmental. So they're trying to get their spot on the roster. So they're doing more. But as soon as you get to that main roster, we've seen it with so many guys. You're at the back of the line again. You're barely getting a match every week on Raw or SmackDown. Nobody watches whatever. I don't even know if they have Velocity anymore or whatever.
They
Superstars.
they still got superstars in main event, but like
nobody watches
really
it. Like
I mean,
don't
they got
know.
like 10 hours of wrestling that they don't even put wrestling on. It's just nonsense, man. They need to get some of those hours of TNA. They do something with it.
All
It's
right,
like
let's move.
AJ Styles. I asked my nephew, he watched WWE. So I'm asking him about AJ Styles. 'Cause I know he went there, right? He looking at me like I'm a fool. Like, who's AJ Styles? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? Now, I talk a lot about AJ, man, a lot, because he did that little sucker move on Dixie. But in the ring, man, he one of my top wrestlers ever. I mean, he's fluent, he agile, he's stiff, and he'll make you jump out your seat like, oh, what the hell he just do? You know what I'm saying? So I feel bad for him to be going to W. This is what he wanted to do. This is what he wanted to do. But God, I really feel bad for him, man. He should have just stayed in TNA instead of going around the world and in his career, man. I just feel bad for him, man, because he could be wrestling. I love watching him wrestle, man. Wrestle. He is a beast. But even though he did that sucker move, but other than that, in the ring, he a beast.
Well, wasn't there like a pay dispute or something with him? TNA didn't want to pay him what they
He,
agreed.
I don't know where. What I'm saying, he go him, Dixie, and I think it was two other people from the Bullet Club. They meet up at Dixie house and they discuss things. You know what I'm saying? So they get up at the end of the discussion and shake hands. So Dixie thinking this is AJ, you know. Next thing you know, he pops up in NXT and all that nonsense. When she thinking she about to get things ready for him to come in with the Bullet Club. You know what I'm saying? And he turned his back.
I did hear something about that. Something about that, like where like he was offered more money, so he took more money or
Exactly.
something like that. Yeah. All right. So after
That's
that
all that
discussion,
matters anymore is getting
yeah,
paid more money. It doesn't matter if you're gonna get matches. It doesn't matter if you're gonna actually wrestle. I mean, that's that paycheck.
yeah.
But all right, when you think paycheck, let's say he live in Georgia, he got a family, right? So for the last 2 years since he left TNA, I doubt if he even seen his family. Now before then, one thing about TNA, they have people that's solid and they can live their life in one spot and raise a family. That's one thing you can notice about their wrestlers. They stay in one spot the whole time, because they got a contract where you working just like when you go to work normally at Burger King or something. Well, you working every day. You know what I'm saying? There's no problem about it. Your money coming. You got a normal joint going on. That's why I like TNA too, because their wrestlers are stable. He leave, now he got to go all over the world. I don't even think he's been in Georgia in a long time. At first, almost every other show, TNA had him in Georgia on the camera talking about something. Just in Georgia, the way he lived at. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say some things grass ain't greener always on the other side.
Yeah.
For sure.
All
But
right.
I think also we're gonna get to the title. We're gonna get to it.
I'm too excited. I'm sorry. My fault. Y'all keep going. I'm
I,
enjoying.
I get that, but at the same time, like, getting into wrestling, you're gonna be traveling. So it's not like something where, I get a job at, like you said, Burger King, and then I'm gonna be moved to another one. Like getting into wrestling, you're like that's part of the job is traveling. So it's kind of like
Not once you become a professional. All right, TNA. They based in Tennessee, I think, but they wrestle I think in Florida, right?
yeah
One of
originally yeah.
they wrestle most of their shows in Florida. So you can live where you live the whole time. Period. Because it's going to be in Florida. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing going to change. You just go to Florida, and that's it. And you take some for about 3-4 months, and you all 3 months back home. Not go all over the world for $20 a match. You still with your family. You went to work, now you back home. It's stable. That's why you got people like Abyss. Just stable people there. EY was there 10 years. They stable because it's a stable workplace, you know. Now when they jump the shop, they not stable no more. They don't know what's happening no more. That's what I was just saying. Dixie make sure they stable.
Yeah, James Storm, he ended up going to he ended up still in Florida. He's like, hold up, this ain't TNA. He went to NXT, he's still in Florida. He like, hold up,
Let's get back over there.
the wrong company.
Let me get back over that TNA sign.
All right, y'all got any more thoughts on the president or anything else? Any more discussion on that?
Nah, cool.
All right, I don't want to move on too quick. You know, I mean, I've been trying, but I don't want to stop the discussion. If the discussion is going, I'm gonna let it go.
I think my man got something else to say there.
Nah, I'll say it like halfway through the title.
Alrighty, so also being unveiled is a new championship. The King of the Mountain Championship is soon to be unified with the Heavyweight Championship. And then they're going to introduce a new Grand Championship. Now, this Grand Championship, it is basically UFC, MMA inspired. The matches will take place in rounds, in time-limited rounds, and there will be a judges panel to decide the winner of these matches. The first champion will be crowned in the 8-man tournament. So I don't know if the 8-man tournament is going to have rounds for every single match or what. I don't know how they're going to do that. Now, I don't think this is a bad idea either, because from my perspective, we always say we want something that's unpredictable. This is us fans always saying we want something that's unpredictable. We want something that's new, innovative, we haven't seen in wrestling before. They bring something that we haven't seen in specifically wrestling before. Brawl for All doesn't really count. That we haven't really seen in wrestling before. And now we're going to cry about it because, oh God, it's too new. It's too different. Now, my thing is I'm going to give it a chance because I'm an optimist and I give everything a chance. But two, I'm going to give it a chance. Yeah, no, I'm not giving Michael Tarver. He got one chance already. But no, I'm going to give it a chance because I feel like right now on paper it may sound weird, but it may play out really smoothly on TV or really smoothly through a wrestling match. I personally hope it even turns into where you have to win the title through like a series of matches. So you have to win the title in like a 3 stages of hell type thing. Or you have to win the title in like a 2 out of 3 falls type of a thing. Or you have to win the title through a tournament and some sort of series of matches to actually retain or win the title.
In the King of the Mountain match, right? Right, like that.
Technically, it's not a series. Like if they did like two or 3 King of the Mountains in a row, maybe. I can see that actually. I can see it. I think let's try. But no, I think it's an innovative idea. And to me, it brings TNA back to its roots of being innovative and having something that we haven't seen before. And UFC, if I'm not mistaken, is like the second, like as far as money is concerned, the second contact sport. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. My only issue with it is I think it lends its hands too much to a guy like a Lashley, like a guy who is a like legit fighter, to last that long in a match like this. Now, I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I'm wondering how it's going to play out. I hope it plays out well. I hope it plays out. It seems like it's going to be a very strategic type of a way of doing this. I like the judges panel to a certain degree. It reminds me a lot of gut check from before. So I kind of like that, but I don't know. I really don't know what to think. I also think it is good that Billy Corgan is introducing a new title because that already puts a stamp on Billy Corgan as president. It gives you something new already with him as president. And one thing that, even if you think about politics, the president comes in and he brings in something new. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to change what's already there. So I'm fine with that. It's a brand new title belt. I'll actually put if I can find a picture of it, I have a couple pictures of it. I'll try to put it up over the screen while they're giving their discussion. But other than that, I think it's an innovative idea. I told Casey that it reminds me a lot of the hardcore title because the hardcore title was a thing that came out, and I bet you the people from watching from the 80s who like wrestling as wrestling were really upset about. And now this is something that's changing. Wrestling is not wrestling as usual, and we're like, oh, I don't know what to think about this. But Casey, any thoughts on the new championship? I don't think you've seen the design yet, but the new championship, you may have seen it. New championship and the new rules that goes along with anything about the championship, just in general thoughts.
Oh God, so many thoughts. First of all, I don't know what was wrong with the King of the Mountain title, or the television title.
I'll be honest though. I'll be honest. On the King of the Mountain title, let's be honest, Casey. The King of the Mountain title was gonna always fail, and I think in both of our opinions, to be prestigious because it was a recycled title. This is a brand new title where you can build it from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but first of all, I don't know why they unified the King of the Mountain title with the world title. Like, what is the point of that? It's not going to change the world heavyweight title at all. Why didn't you just retire it? I don't know why they have to. It's just something stupid. I don't know. It's not actually going to change anything in the storyline really or in the title. But I don't know why they chose to say they were unifying the titles. But I like that they're bringing a new title in that hopefully will not just last 6 to 12 months and then they change it. But then again, probably. I still wish they would put more emphasis on maybe the X Division title rather than really bringing in a new title or the tag team titles or something. Put more emphasis on something that you already have, something that kind of helped you get to where you are in the beginning. Just my opinion, I don't know. I'm still a fan of the X Division title, and I wish it had more recognition than it does. But as far as the title and the rules, I was saying to me and DJ were talking about it a little bit before we came on Google Plus or on broadcasting anyway. I get that the past couple years, the past even you could even say the past decade, I guess. Wrestling has been trying to kind of cross over a little bit into UFC, MMA, whatever, kind of trying to get the UFC fans into wrestling, and vice versa a little bit, I guess. But I'm more of I don't want to say wrestling purist. I don't want to be like a wrestling snob. But I would rather see. I want wrestling to be wrestling and UFC to be UFC. I don't want a weird mixed I don't have a problem with UFC. I'm not a huge UFC fan. I'm not a huge MMA fan, but I don't have a problem with it. I've watched matches before. I've seen it, but I would rather keep MMA, and wrestling. I don't want to have a weird hybrid where where you have a wrestling match which is like an MMA match or whatever. I think it complicates it a little too much for me anyway. I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of fans who like it, but I guess it's something where I kind of have to see how it plays out for me to say, okay, I like this or I don't like this. Just from reading it, I'm not a huge fan of it. But like we say, you never know how things are going to play out. It could work out really well, and it could be something that I really like. It's just from what I'm reading, I don't really like it. But I don't know. That's just my opinion from more of a wrestling fan perspective.
I haven't had a chance to really look at the article yet. So I'm talking from I need training wheels on, all right? So I'm gonna be asking a lot of different questions.
All right.
All right. What I don't understand, is it a weight division here? Oh, it's
So
what?
I don't think there's a weight division. I will actually. I'm still screen sharing. Um, so I'm just gonna put this back over just so people can kind of still look at it. Um, Now I'm reading from this article and see if I can find the actual rules. I know it's gonna start off with a tournament,
Okay.
but the main rules are it says 8 men will compete in a single elimination tournament under the new standard Impact rules. I don't know if this is like a new thing that's gonna become like a norm, or it's just for this title. Um, it says 3 time-limited rounds will take place during these matches, where judges backstage will um, decide the winner if it goes the whole time limit. So I think it's kind of like a set of 3 time-limited matches.
Mm-hmm.
It says I can't remember. I don't know how long the time limit is going to be, but let's just say there's 3 5-minute rounds. So if there's a 15-minute match, it's basically putting a time limit on it, but you're separating it into 3 separate time limits. It doesn't have to go the full way. It doesn't have to go the full 3 rounds, but it can also, so I think it can end like it normally does.
Okay. Three
After
times.
after reading it a little bit more, it seems like it can end like a normal match would, or it can go to a time limit. And I'm not. I guess there would be like a break taken every 5 minutes. That would be a good time for a commercial break. Um, I guess.
This normal wrestling. They still doing normal wrestling in this, right?
Yeah, they're not
This,
like coming in and doing like MMA or anything. It's just
yeah,
the style of the match is built similar to MMA,
I
where
got it.
there's rounds.
Yeah, yeah. And then the 3 time limit rounds, yeah. So the panel, what they gonna be? I mean, who is that? They named that?
So it doesn't say specifically who the panel is gonna be. I don't know if the panel is gonna because I feel like if they're gonna put this in terms of storyline, the
Hmm.
panel could end up being like maybe like the superstars rivals. So then like there's no bias within it, or it could be like higher ups. It could be some of the scouts that they have in the back or something like that. I'm not really sure who
I
that's gonna be. Could be referees. Could be another one.
Hmm.
I think
Oh,
that's a
left.
big part of it. I think that's a big part of whether it succeeds or fails, who's going to be the judges. Because with the fans, if it's certain judges, they're going to be like, this is bullshit. Or, if it is somebody that, it has I guess, a legitimate wrestling mind, they'll be more, okay, he's right, even though it's storyline based. Um, if it's like Dixie and like Al Snow and oh wait, no, Al Snow, he's with the French guys. But um, I think it's a big part of it depends on who the panel is too.
Man, let me tell you, I think this would make it good. This is a good idea, cause let's say you having matches, but now we know it's not just gonna end with a pinfall or submission. Now we know they can go the whole time limit, and then somebody judge it, right? That's how it's going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
right there, you eliminate all the false finishes and all the bull crap. You know what I'm saying? You can make a match. All right, just go wrestle the whole time limit. You just let them judge. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's a pure wrestling match. I'm thinking. I'm hoping. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. We don't know until we see it.
And I'm
But
thinking too. I'm gonna tell you one thing that actually makes this better than what I even expected it is that it doesn't have to go the full time. See, I thought it was 3 5 minute rounds and it had to go, or 3 rounds and it had to go the full time.
exactly.
What actually makes it even better is it doesn't have to go the full time, so it can still be a normal match, just
That's my
under
point.
this unique stipulation.
Exactly. So you as a viewer, you can't sit there and think, oh, somebody about to get pinned eventually somewhere, because it can go the whole way. You know what I'm saying? So you can't expect a pin all the time. You feel me?
Yeah.
So they don't have to make up these fake pins or roll ups or none of that. You just have them keep wrestling until the time run out and somebody judge that. I like that. I like that. It sounds like that's what's going on. I'm not sure, but yeah, I like that so far. Yeah.
All
So
right.
it's like, what are they doing? They taking the King of the Mountain and the
So they're
Exodus title?
unifying. I guess technically they're retiring the King of the Mountain Championship,
Okay.
which I was kind of upset about just because they hadn't had it for very long. But
I ain't like that
they're
title.
basically they're unifying that with the World Championship. And I think what's gonna happen here is there's gonna be a new champ. Like apparently Lashley was the one. Um, Getting into some of the other details, there's not a lot. It was just talking about this. Apparently Lashley was the one who wanted to unify the championship. Since he is the champion, I guess he could do that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
He
what
wanted
happened.
to unify
Yeah.
the King of the Mountain Championship with the World Championship. Probably because he had so many belts to carry around, he couldn't like physically carry them around. So he unified the world title and the King of the Mountain Championship. And then I'm not sure about the X Division Championship right now. I think he still has it. I'm not sure. I didn't read too much into it. I just saw this and I was like, this is something that must be addressed. But I
This
actually
is
now, Casey, what do you think as far as now that they don't have to go the full 3 rounds? Are you more open to it now? Because now it doesn't sound like it just sounds like a different type of match, not necessarily.
If it's, I mean, so am I to understand that if you win the first round, you win the title, or do you still have to go the other
So
rounds?
I think it would be so in the same way that in a UFC fight, if you knock someone out in the first round, you win. So if you get a pin in the first round, it's not like a multiple fall type thing, unless it's I guess stated as such. If you get a fall in those first 5 or 10 minutes, however long it's going to be, 5 or 10 minutes, then you win the title. There's no need to go to a decision because you already got your decision.
Yeah, when the time run out, when the pinfall, I mean not pinfall, when they do the one match after another, that's the difference right there. Cause I'm thinking you got 8 wrestlers in there, but I'm trying to figure out what 8 can you put in there that would make all the matches stiff. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll tell you guys one more thing. As I'm just thinking about this while I'm just actively thinking, this also gets rid of the what do we do if there's a time limit draw for this title specifically, because it's going to be decided at the end of the match, and this might
Yeah,
even
one falls match.
encourage more.
Yeah, you're right. It's just like a
It might,
falls match, and then at the
yeah,
end they could get judged instead of you know what I'm saying, the title or
Then
somebody match. Yeah.
then how are they judging? That's another question that I would have is,
yeah.
how is it being judged? Because I mean,
I'm what,
in MMA and boxing, you kind of have an idea how it's judged,
yeah.
hits, things like that, takedowns. How is,
Exactly.
that's another thing that I'm
The
worried
judge
about.
part, the only part of this is where you kayfabe is starting to you starting to lose it when you start doing the panel thing, because
Yeah,
then it's like like you just said, what are they judging? You know what I'm saying? What are you
yeah.
doing? That is not making any sense to be judging some pre choreographed stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when you start doing all that judging, we gotta be careful here because you still something called kayfabe. You can't forget that. And then when you start talking about somebody judging something, it ain't like a boxing match or something where you judging how many times somebody get hit, unless they're gonna explain how the judge is gonna do this or something.
I would
That's
be
gonna
surprised if
be the
they didn't
problem.
explain that. And so, because even with the back when gut check, because that's the last thing I can think of in wrestling where it was judged. Even with gut check, they kind of let you know like what they would be judging you on, not only just the match, but how you performed in the match.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it's like because we don't know yet, so we don't know if it's like the amount of time you were in control of the match, how many big moves you hit in the match. That's kind of the
Yeah.
what's up in the air at this point.
Or how many times you botch.
Yeah. How many how many times you just fail?
You botching, them points coming off, Flair. But it gives you the live fight feel though. Like back when Shamrock, I wish they can bring Shamrock, put him on the panel, something like that. Shamrock on there,
Yeah.
that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would definitely be really cool. But if that's it, I that was definitely interesting. It had us thinking even more throughout us thinking, or throughout us talking, I guess. If you have any comments about it, and anyone watching, any comments about the new title, the new president, anything like that, be sure to let us know. How you feel it's gonna work. I'm kind of wondering. I think I think this could be a good idea, and once again it changes TNA, which is not necessarily a bad thing because you have to get away from that stigma, and the only way to get away from that stigma is to change. So I'm wondering how it's gonna work out. I'm excited. TNA's
You
been
can't do no
really.
more change than making a rock star your president.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that's
That I
really
mean that was enough. I'll be honest. That was enough. That was enough as far as like everything, like controversy and everything. Because like there's some people that aren't happy because they're like he doesn't know, what I mean? He doesn't know anything about wrestling. So
But I want to see how people react. People that've been worked in the business before. I want to see how they react on. Do they even give them a chance to even do anything, or do they go in on them like Vince Russo and people like that, or Cornette?
yeah.
Are
Oh,
they going to
Vince
do
Russo loves
anything?
the man. I've listened to Vince Russo talk about him. He was hoping for this actually. He wanted Billy Corgan to have a more like active role in because
Of course. Yes. He was hoping anybody but Dixie. Period. He could put a pillow up there, a pillow up beside him. He'd been like, "Yeah, take that pillow instead of Dixie." Yeah, it'd been
Wait,
anybody.
wait. So what you're telling me is I could have got the job.
Exactly. If it was up to Vince Russo, anyone else could get hired. He don't care as long as it ain't Dixie.
All right, guys. I think that's about it. So you got a new TNA president and Billy Corgan and a new grand. It's either the Grand Championship or the Grand Slam Championship. Some articles say Grand Slam, some say Grand. So I'm not sure yet. But I
Let
think
me,
it'll be good. It's better than the
let
Universal
me ask you one
Championship.
thing. Let me ask you one thing before you go. Do you think? Cause I think she was always looking for somebody to take over the day-to-day thing here. Do you think when she first brought Vince Russo back, before he did that bonehead texting people stuff out, did she have that in her mind? You think she had in her mind? Let me see what Vince can do. Maybe I can elevate him. You know what I'm saying? Do you think she had that in her mind?
I think she did.
Until he did that.
Because I think she did because I think Dixie may not say it, like she may not come out and say it, but I think Dixie believes in in Vince Russo's mind as far as like his writing abilities. Um, and I think anyone who starts out in any sort of capacity, you always want to move up. So I think Russo, to a certain degree, was thinking the same thing. Like, I want to move up. I don't want to always be a writer.
Yeah.
So I think I think she believes in Vince Russo. So she would have, she probably would have given him that chance, at some point. But I just think it just wasn't there. It just wasn't in the cards for him. Now, now I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Vince Russo return. I'm not even gonna lie, just because I know Billy Corgan and him are friends.
No
Um,
good. No good. Don't do it.
I mean, I'm
There's
not trying to
no reason for
throw
him
anything out there. I
anywhere
just
to
know
go.
they're friends.
He shouldn't be nowhere near the bathroom. There's no reason for him to come around nowhere to do anything, nothing, but stay on YouTube. Ain't no way, no. I know Dixie's like, no, there's no way he could do anything in here, man. There's no need for him anyway. You got Billy Corgan running the whole thing. You got the writers in it. What's his name? Legullah. How you say his name? Legullah or something
Lagana,
like that.
I think something like that.
Yeah, and you got Conway, the one Vince Russo always talking about a lightweight. He don't know what he doing. But obviously they know something. The writing that's going on is nice, so they know something. That's for sure.
I don't know if I would trust Vince Russo as like
Exactly. Yeah.
he,
With the
he's
whole
a,
shebang. You're right.
like writing. He's good. I
Yeah.
won't take anything away from his creative. I just don't trust the guy. There's something about
Exactly.
him.
Yeah, like
Don't.
you can't give Vince Russo too much. Like
Yeah.
if he was working like in a partnership with Corgan or in a partnership with someone, I think I could trust him a little more because then he got somebody to say, "All right, Vince, that's a little much. Like, come on back." You know,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. Because he don't believe in wrestling itself anyway. So he'll write you. He'll have you flying out of plane. He don't care at all and let you drop down. He don't care. He don't believe in the art of professional wrestling. He more of I can entertain you type of dude more than like Cornette. I like wrestling. You know what I'm saying? They two different people, but they two jackasses the same. You know what I'm saying? But they two different as far as wrestling. Because Billy Corgan, Cornette, you can't deny the fact he loved professional wrestling at his core. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
Vince Russo, you could tell, don't like professional wrestling at his core. You know what I'm saying? That's why when he was in WCW, he was just giving people belts, throwing them out in the street, giving people belts. The mailman, whoever won belts. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't care about professional wrestling itself. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between those two. And then you're right. You cannot trust him with the whole shebang because wrestling is not on his mind. You're right.
yeah, I definitely agree. That was a good. That was a good ending question. Maybe ending question. I'm gonna wait like a couple seconds just to make sure because I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop if I ain't got to. All right.
I mean, we need to talk about Jim Cornette and his hate for Lucha Underground. No, we're not gonna get into it.
I think we definitely already hit that. You know, you like to punch Jim Cornette in the face and stuff, so we already in that.
I would love to do that.
Vince would too.
Alrighty, guys, that's about it. Like I said, if you have any comments about the championship, the president, TNA's direction, just in general, besides, like, if it's negative, leave it. But like, have a legit reason for it to be negative. Don't just be like TNA sucks. Like,
Hey, Rad BID Jones, send all negative stuff to there. Twitter. I leave all negative to that.
Hashtag bring back Shamrock. Let's get
That,
started.
yeah, exactly. That will fit in really nice with this.
I agree.
Rad BID Jones Twitter. All hate mail go to there. TNA.
Send it all to Rabbit. I think it's Rabbit313 if I'm not mistaken. Send it all to him. He'll probably add me. He'll mention me and I'll get to see it too. So don't worry.
Oh, I seen Vince Russo. Hey, I know. I seen Vince Russo the other day on YouTube. He was on one of the female that do YouTube on TNA. He was on one of her TNA reviews. I was so shocked. Like, wow.
Send it.
You know?
Send an email.
Coming around, huh?
The true JSP.
Let me ask him a couple of questions. Maybe two questions. I want to answer. You know what I'm saying?
All right, guys. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We got always good discussion about TNA. Somebody calling me already with a comment. They calling me already with a comment. But that's about all I got, guys. Hit that subscribe button for me. Share the video. Keep the discussion going. Check me out on dailyddt.com. I write all the time on there. I'm the only one that can write about TNA because don't nobody care about TNA until something important happens. But that's all right. You know, I got you though. You know, I got you. But that's about it. And it don't suck. Shut up, Casey. It don't suck. Anyway.
Trash.
But anyway, that's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Whatever you got to do, do your thing. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
TNA.